What's up, everybody? I got a scouting tutorial for you today. Let's get right into it. So the scouting process starts week 1, where you can choose your draft class. For now, I'm going to just choose to keep automated generated rookies. So week 1 is pretty important. This is where you can hire, assign, and fire scouts. So the scouting assignments are pretty important. This is the first piece of the puzzle. This is how you're going to be able to scout players that you think you might be able to draft. You also want to watch out for their position expertise. These are important because you want to be able to match these positions with the positions of need for your team. So before you assign any region, before you hire anyone, before you fire anyone, you want to go to regional breakdown. And let's say we're looking for a quarterback. So in the national region, which is the whole entire country, you can see that the strength on the right side says quarterback. First strength is quarterback, so that's perfect for us because we're looking for a quarterback. The one problem is our scout for the national focus, their expertise is interior offensive lineman and defensive tackle. So we want to change that scout. So the way we do that, we go to scouts, we go to the national scout, Franklin Burke. We fire him by pressing X. You successfully fired the scout. Now we want to hold LT, go to free agent scouts. And you only can hire a scout with the same tier. So you can't fire a 1-star scout and then hire a 3-star scout. So we're going to hire Wesley Hale. He's a 3-star scout, so it matches perfectly. And his position of expertise, 1, is QB, and that's what we're looking for. Sorry for the brief interruption. I want to say what's up. If you're interested in NCAA content and Madden content, I got you. Right now I'm doing an NCAA Road to Glory. I'm going to pick my college soon, so if you're interested, go watch, baby. Link is below. Back to the video. You hire the scout by pressing Y. So when you hire a scout, they have no assigned region, so you want to make sure you assign him the region that you think will best properly fit your scouting process. For me, I want him to scout nationally because QBs are a strength in this year's draft. So I want him to search every single region just to see what QBs are the best. I want him to scout all the QBs throughout the country. So if we go to the regional breakdown, you can see that we have Wesley Hale scouting the national region. And it says right there on the expertise that there is a match between quarterback for the region. One thing I do want you to notice is when you see those green binocular type icons, that means there is a match. When you see the red binoculars, that means that there is... my controller dropped. When you see the red binoculars, there is a match, but that means that their position of expertise, that's one of the weaknesses in that region. So that's something that you want to take into account. For example, Michael Scott, he has expertise as a defensive end and offensive tackle. And we have green binoculars, which means he has 2 positions of expertise in the strength. That means that there's 2 positions of strength in this region. This is a good match to put Michelle, aka Michael Scott, in the West region. It's also important to know that after week 1, you can't assign, hire, or fire any scouts, so you want to make sure you put all your scouts in the correct region for your team. So week 3, you get the first mock draft. You can take a look at that just to see what the experts have you taking. For us, they have us taking a left tackle, which honestly is probably a good pick. This is where you assign your regional scouts a position to focus and evaluate their players. So week 3, this is regional focus scouting. You won't be able to do national scouting. That's not available yet, I believe, till week 8. But you can set your position of focus in each region. Just for another example, we have this scout in the Southeast. His expertise is the outside linebacker, and one of the strengths in the Southeast region is left outside linebacker. So for the set focus scouting, we're going to set this to outside linebacker because that's his expertise, and you want to make sure you match their expertise with the focus scouting so they can get a boost when they scout. As you can see on the left, it says 5% efficiency boost when scouting offensive linebacker and defensive end positions. So when you set the scouting focus to their expertise, you get a boost in scouting, which can help you tremendously. So week 8, we have mock draft 2. You can see if any of the experts changed their picks just to see what they're thinking for your team. But the most important thing for scouting and for the draft is the scouting national focus. This is where you can only pick one position, which kind of sucks because it's a national scouting focus. I'd rather have a couple players to focus on. But you want to make sure you match the position with their expertise. So here we really need a quarterback. That's why we hired this scout. His expertise is in quarterbacks. One of the strengths for this year's draft is quarterback. So that's the main reason why we hired him. And again, it gives us an extra boost in scouting if you can match the expertise with the position. Right here it says 25% efficiency boost when scouting QB and tight end positions. We don't care about the tight end positions. We care more about the QBs because that's our position of need for my team. So for week 11, this is a very important part of the scouting process. So for the super focused scouting points, you can choose 3 players that you want to scout and see if they're a good match for your team. In my opinion, you do not want to use these scouting points on people that are already being scouted. You want to use these points on people that you don't know much about in positions of need that you need for your team. So let's say we go to left tackle, and we have Wayne Bonds not being scouted at all. He's 50% completion. We're going to use it on him because a left tackle is a position of need for my team, and this guy is not getting scouted. And there's a couple others that are not getting scouted as well. But this guy's projected to be a first round or second round player, and he's not being scouted by our scouts. So we're going to use our super focused scouting on him to see if he's an elite talent. Another position of need is a left end or right end. We don't have a lot of scouting going on with the defensive ends. So we're going to use our scouting points on, we're going to use our scouting points on Michael Galloway. The reason we're picking Michael Galloway and not the first 2 guys is because we're not going to pick a defensive tackle in the first round. So you want to make sure you pick a guy that you think you might be able to get. So you kind of need to analyze what players, what positions you think you're going to draft early. I think that we're going to pick a defensive end in the second round. So we're going to pick a guy who's projected to go in the second round to see what he's all about, and not in the first round because he'll most likely be gone. For our third focus player, we're going to go to a corner. We need some corners for our depth. We're not going to pick a corner in the first or second round, maybe in the third round. This guy is a match with our scheme. There's a lot of corners on the board before him. I don't think this many corners are going to be picked in the first 2 rounds. So we're going to pick Quinton Pierman for our third focus scouting point. And hopefully this all makes sense. You want to make sure you analyze what are your positions of need, where you think you're going to draft these players, so you can make the best decision for your super focused scouting points. So after week 11, there's not much going on in the scouting arena up until you get to the first week of re-signing your players. That's when Mock Draft 3 comes out. But other than that, there's nothing you have to do. You could look at Mock Draft 3 to see what the experts think is going to happen in the draft, and maybe you can see who they think you're going to draft, and maybe that will influence your decision. So in the first week of free agency, you'll have the combine results. These are very important, especially when you get to the mid to late rounds. I usually choose my players based off of how well they do in their combine results. One of the guys that we're thinking about picking did not have the best combine, so that might influence our decision, and we might go with somebody else. But he's only 21 years old, but he does have some very good key ratings, which is very attractive. But Colin Griggs right here, he has A in every key attribute rating with a lot better NFL Combine. A lot of his ratings in the NFL Combine are good, great, elite, great, solid, elite. And with the solids are kind of attributes that don't really matter when you're a QB with speed and strength. Speed is a little bit, speed does matter a little bit, but solid with a 4.73 is definitely good. That's something you want to look at too. If you want a speedy guy at quarterback, you want to look at their 40-yard dash, you want to look at their ratings in the NFL Combine and see how well they did in the 40, and that can help influence and dictate what guy you want to pick. In the second week of free agency, we have Mock Draft 4, and we have the College Pro Day results. You can kind of see here and compare the College Pro Day to the NFL Combine to see if there was any flukes in their performances. Right here, he did run a lot better 40. Josh Roberts ran a lot better 40, a 4.67 to a 4.60, 4.6 flat. That's really good. He had more reps on the bench press, but that's still not more attractive than Colin Riggs. He did better in his pro day as well. Very similar, but still a little bit improvement in the College Pro Day. That, I think, is who we will try to pick, and maybe we would even trade up for him because we are looking for a QB, but that is just something you need to figure out with your team. Now in the off-season free agency recap, you have the last mock draft that you can look at. But you have something more important than the mock draft. You have the private workouts. You can learn more about your players. Here, I would say you still want to pick guys that you haven't scouted as much. There's no point of scouting Josh Roberts. He's at 95% completion. There's no point of scouting someone who's already at 100%. You know all about them because you've been scouting them all year. Somebody like Nate Carter, who's only at 55%, someone that you might draft, is a good pick here. I don't think we will be able to get Nate Carter, though, because he'll probably go early. Chris Peters, he has 2 A's that I see in the key attributes. So we're going to pick Chris Peters for our first private workout. Then we're going to go to corner. A lot of these guys are 50% besides the guy that we chose, the super scouting, Quentin Pierman. So he's at 80%, so there's no point of doing a private workout for him because we kind of know what he's all about as a player. We know his abilities. I think here we're going to go Heath Bishop. We're going to go with Hal Peterman. He's in the 2nd to 3rd round. We're looking to pick more depth in that position in the middle round, so that's why we're going to pick him. There's no point of choosing the first 2 guys because they're probably going to be gone within the 1st and probably the early 2nd round. We don't think we're going to get them. We want to pick people that we think will have a chance to pick. Something to know about the private workouts is that when you pick your player, they will have a 40% increase in completion. So you'll definitely be able to know their abilities and what that player is all about and if they're going to be able to fit your team. So after the private workouts, after all the hard work you did when scouting, you can now start the NFL draft. But just to show you here all the guys that we were able to scout, I want to show you the prospects. 95%, 100%, 95%. But you can see that even with Chris Peters, he's at 95% completion. He has 2 A's. This is somebody that we can definitely pick in the mid-rounds. He's A for awareness, A for impact blocking, and C for run and pass blocking, which isn't horrible. But you can see he has some great attributes. He's 6'6", 320. He's only 21 years old. He had an elite NFL combine. So this can be a steal of the draft, and we picked him to have a private workout with us, and that's the reason he's at 95% completion rate. So skipping the scouting process is a huge mistake if you want to build your team and get some really solid young guys. Like, this is a steal right here. I'm really glad that we picked him for the private workout because we're looking for him in the 3rd round or 4th round. He can even probably be a 2nd round pick if people did their due diligence, but we did, and we want to get him, and we believe it's a steal. But that's just an example of why scouting is so important. I hope all of this made sense. I hope it helped you out. Go pick a superstar, baby. Come on. Let me know if this helped in the comments. If you liked it, like it up. If you disliked it, dislike it. Let me know if I can make any of this content for you better. But overall, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Hope you have a great day.